everybody. It's No Reservations, and I'm Done One.
And I'm Marie.
Last week was a great, inspiring Halloween Dia de los Muertos celebration. We thank all of you for tuning in last week and checking with us. But it was kind of like emotional. It sparked like inspiration of our people that are still here with us every day.
Yeah.
You know, not just Dia de los Muertos or sorry, I did it. See, I did it. I did it again. Dia de Muertos. That's what it
Yes.
technically is.
Yes, that's
Like,
what it technically
It
is.
was really inspiring, and we were talking about a lot of things.
Yeah, just
Giving a little bit of us to the community, right?
right, exactly. We just wanted to make sure that we honored our loved ones, and that's exactly what I feel like we did. And we hope that you guys were able to honor your loved ones as well, along with us, just watching that episode. And I hope everybody was safe during their Halloween trick or treating, and that everybody had a great time.
That's right. And without further ado, we're on to this great inspiring episode today.
Continuing on the creativity and inspiration.
Exactly. We're here to inspire the community, uplift, and just spotlight people, right? This particular individual, we met at Trill on a food event, I believe, and he had some amazing food. And I'm not gonna give it away, but he's multi-talented. He loves hip hop. Who doesn't? He's inspired by what he's inspired by,
which is what we're going to talk about today.
Right, we're going to talk about a lot of things, and it just even talking to him candidly off screen before we got on to the episode is amazing. So, without further ado, I want to introduce the homie, Rich. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Thanks for having me. No, really, I appreciate it. As we were talking off camera before, this is a first for me, so I'm definitely enjoying the idea of being able to expose myself to areas that I tend to try and keep my own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Be willing to let you see a little bit behind the curtain. Because, man, once people get to know you, peel behind the curtain, sometimes they're like, ooh, really?
Right.
That's what's back there? Yeah, that's what's back
really
there.
is sometimes.
Right? So I do appreciate that fact because I often tell people I come with many warning labels and many warning. That's why my system's so loud in my vehicle. So you get a warning like, hey, I'm about to show up on the scene.
But I'm here.
These things definitely help people understand, and they go, "Oh, now I understand. Now I know." So, thank you for having me and giving me a platform to be able to have that conversation.
Thank you for having us. Look, real quick, this beautiful backdrop, this amazing place. You're gonna get a lot to know about this place, but thank you for having us here in this amazing establishment. It was all a dream. I mean, that's
Okay,
hip
so
hop, right?
I gotta tell you the funny inspiration for this because it's actually a good story. So my wife is I'm from New York. I grew up in hip hop, which we could talk about, but my wife is from a very small town in Illinois. The kind of town that has one traffic signal in the whole town and the town square and it's footloose. Okay, that's basically what we're talking about.
All right.
And so here I come, and I'm everything hip hop. And so a little juxtaposed, but she's not a hip hop fan by any stretch of the imagination. She kind of tolerates it because out of love, right?
Okay, right.
So I always have to find a way to sprinkle me and stuff, but not really trip anything. So we were looking at different neon signs that she wanted to put on the wall, and I just she's looking at, because this business originally was her and her sister's, and it was her sister's dream, and she started talking about, hey, we have to find a neon sign. I'm like, I found the perfect sign for you. She's like, really? I go, yeah, it was all a dream. And she goes, really? I go, yeah. And I showed it. She goes, oh my gosh, you have to get that sign. So after it's up here for about 5 or 6 months, everybody coming to the counter going, Biggie Smalls, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper, Heavy D up on the scene, right? And my wife's like, what are you talking about? And the people go, oh, no, that's from a Biggie Smalls song. And they were like, what is it? And she go, Rich, do you know that's from a really? It is? It is? I'm like, oh, I had no idea. At all. But yeah, that's how the way, again, I know how to mask it all and still represent in a way that just, I am who I am when no one's looking.
Right, it's tasteful. The people can consume it. They can go, oh, wait. And even if you don't know what it is, it's in the middle.
Yeah, look, here, and I will tell you, and it's a story we absolutely should talk about, is really how there was a moment in hip hop that altered the course of a young boy's life that had profound effect. And it's why I respect the culture as much as I do. I respect the culture as much as I do. Because although I am a member of that culture, I may not be the right color that culture originated out of, but I come from the same places where, eating 5-cent gums, not knowing where your next meal's coming from, right?
Right.
Or the Jay-Z line going, if you don't know it, it's or understand it, it's because you didn't live it. Like if you can't understand what hip hop is saying, it's because you didn't have a profound understanding of what it's like to walk that life. And that's why the KRS-One, that's why I mean KRS-One is at the I'll tell you the story. It'll make more sense. So I have always been a KRS-One fan from the time that Criminal Minded dropped. I can tell you, my freshman year of high school, I didn't show up to school one day. Not one single day.
Okay.
I literally cut out of school. I went in for, roll call, and then I checked out and I went home. And me and my buddy Damian Caldera, wherever you are in the world today, if you happen to see this, shout out, because big props to you. We would get in his car, we'd listen to that, we'd go down to the beach, and all day long, all day, every day for a year. That whole year was nothing about listening to that album all day, every day, and playing, Street Fighter. Okay, so KRS-One is doing a show at the Apollo Theater up in Harlem. It's KRS-One, EPMD, and Redhead Kingpin. That's the bill.
That's the lineup.
Okay. And so I'm telling everybody I want tickets. Um, and so I take that ticket and I sneak out of my parents' house and I go to the Long Island Railroad. And this is before Uber and anything.
Right.
So this
Train.
is I
You
rode
take
my
several
bike
trains.
down to the Long Island Railroad, get on the Long Island Railroad, down to Grand Central Station, switch trains, and take a train uptown to Harlem at night. Now, I want to set the cultural scene for where we are in New York at this time. Okay, so in New York at this time, there was an incident with this girl named Tawana Brawley, who was attacked by supposedly 5 white kids in a park. And that is the girl you see in the Fight the Power video, walking in the white, because Chuck was speaking on her behalf. I mean,
Right.
because there was a very racially divided, more so than we are normally used to,
Right.
point in New York. It was racially divided over this incident. Okay, so there's a great racial division at this time, and so I camped with Public Enemy, right? I'm in they're an oppressed people. When I say they, indigenous people, people of culture, because I could read, I could see that we're the colonizers. What I've been taught through hip hop is to show me the other side of it, to understand the perspective of where my privilege actually resides, right? And where it came from.
Right. Okay.
Okay? Again, respecting the culture that I was born in, but the one that I'm a part of.
Chosen. The one you chose.
Right?
Right.
Two different, but I know where they both exist and coexist, right?
Right.
So I sneak out, and I'm just a kid who just loves music. So I go and I take the ticket, and this is before phones. You don't have Google Maps. This is
You had to call
I gotta
someone.
get out of the train station, right, and now figure out in Harlem where the Apollo Theater is, and find my way around. And there I am, this 15-year-old white kid walking around uptown
In this very intense moment
by
time.
myself. I didn't know that's the way it's perceived by other people, but in my head, I'm just going to see.
Right. I'm gonna go see my peoples. I'm gonna go hang with my peoples.
So I walk into the Apollo Theater, and that in itself, man, just mind explosion from a 15-year-old kid to go into the Apollo Theater and just
That
see
sounds dope.
the opulence of it, to for everything that you're taught about the other side in Harlem, and how it was everything that isn't.
Of course.
Okay, so I go to my seat and I find it, I sit down, and next thing you know, there's 5 ushers that come walking on each side of the aisle, and they come, and this lady comes walking up to me, and she goes, "Young man, should you be here?" And I go, well, "Hold on, am I not in the right seat? Here's my ticket." And she goes, and she looks at the ticket, and she goes, "No, no, no, she goes, "Should you be here?" And I go, am I not in the right? This is the KRS-One EPMD Redhead Kingpin show. She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Look around." I go, is there something wrong? And she just kind of looks at me and she goes, "No, no, you're okay." And so I sit down. Now, She stands at the end of the aisle, and there's another guy standing at the end of the aisle the whole time. Okay, people are starting to fill in, and when I tell you, in a sea of black, I am the one white polka dot, and everybody in the room is like this, looking at me. Now, if I'm putting it into this perspective, I probably look like Johnny Depp 21 Jump Street as an undercover police officer at the time.
Yeah. What's he
At
doing
this
here?
rap show, right? You know what I mean?
What's
Like,
homie
I'm
doing
sure
here?
that in the community, knowing how foul they're played, right? They're looking at it going, that's a plant, that's a. So I imagine there was a great, not again, this is not the perspective I have in that moment,
No, you're just kicking it.
but now as time has gone on, you get perspective and you go, wow, now I kind of understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the lights go down, the music comes up, and when I tell you, okay, so I could spit every lyric. I mean, I could you could drop anything, man. I'm gonna spit every lyric right off the top of my head because that's how it's I am hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the second that those songs start dropping and everybody's looking at me and I'm spitting line after line, chapter after chapter, like everything, everybody just went and turned around and stopped looking at me and just stopped watching the show. And I mean, I had an amazing show. It was phenomenal. Like it rocked my world.
Right.
Okay. And as I'm walking out, I'm going to walk out the door. And now when I walked in, I made a right into the place. But when I walked out the door, I should have made a left, but I made a right. And a guy grabs me by the back of my shirt. And this gentleman turns me around and he goes, young man, he goes, I want you to turn around, go down that street 1 block, and to the left is a subway entrance station. You go down that subway station, you get on that train, and you don't ever come back up here again.
Wow.
And I just looked at him. And at the time, something in me told me, okay, I know. Like, I know this guy's trying to help me, not hurt me, protect me in some way. Now, his perspective probably was, if there's an issue, and the police are going to show up with this 15-year-old white kid in front of the Apollo Theater. That's the story, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's where the whole narrative now takes on. Then hip hop, I single-handedly could have potentially, ruined hip hop at the emergence of, without just being a lover of the music, the way that it'll be painted just because of the way I look.
Yeah.
Right.
But to me, that 15-year-old kid, I walked out of there going, hip hop didn't judge me because of the way I looked. Hip hop accepted me because I love hip hop. I am hip hop.
It's genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And that from every show. Now, shout out to my boy Dave Druin, who I drag to a lot of these shows with me, and he's a 6 foot tall white dude from Texas, right? And every time we're at one of these shows and somebody inevitably elbows him going, you shouldn't be videotaping what's up there, you should be videoing the white kid next to me. He goes, dude, I've been with this white kid so many, I've seen this so many times. As a matter of fact, if I ever got to meet Nas, because he talks about, if you want to talk about this rap shit, let's see who can spit a Big Daddy Kane line the fastest. You know what I mean? And I'll be able to literal get bowl. I just can't hold back and fold because I'm a man with soul and control and effects. So what the heck? Rock the discotheque. Groove is what's next. Attack, react, exact, the Mac, the move you're with. The most song, as long as you groove to this. I keep the crowd loud when you hype, do damage on stage and into a mic. Okay, so that's who I am when nobody's looking, man. That's in me. That doesn't come from a part of me that I try to represent. That's just me. Okay, but it comes out of a place where that moment in time at the Apollo Theater, that's cemented. Now, I keep all my concert tickets, okay? And I'll send you a snapshot of this.
Yeah,
I have
please do. Yeah.
I have that ticket, and KRS-One did a show out in Tempe probably about 15 or 18 years ago, and I brought my Criminal Minded record, and I brought that ticket. And I went up to him and I said, hey, man, I just want to let you know. He looked at me, he goes, oh, my God. He goes, you were at that show? And I go, yeah, bro, I was at that show. He goes, how old were you? I was 15 years old. I snuck out of my parents' house. He goes, what? He took the towel right off of his neck, laid it down. He tagged it, KRS-One, right? Gave it to me, okay? Said, bro, thank you for being, like, legit. You're the realest of the real. Like, I remember you, right?
You were there in the beginning.
And so at the Celebrity Theater about 10 years later, EPMD was playing, and I caught the manager on the side. Hey, man, can you do me a favor? Chris signed his half. Can you have the guys sign the other half. And he's like, yeah, and I'll take a picture for you. So he took a picture. So I have that ticket signed by EPMD and by KRS-One.
That's
And
amazing.
it's hanging up with the original bill. Oh, I'll do you one better about the original bill too. So the KRS-One, from that moment, anytime he saw me, he'll always see me at a show, but he knows I'm spitting the lyrics right back at him. Like, he can look at me and like smile because he knows he can stop saying it, and like he'll just hold the mic out and he'll know I'm right where he is,
Right.
straight up. And so I'm there with my son at one of these shows because hip hop in my house is generational, right? My kids grew up around hearing it and they've been exposed to the culture. And my son went to go see KRS-One with me, and I'm downstairs dancing. KRS-One literally gets right off the stage, comes out while he's singing, puts his head between me and my son. So it's my son, him, and me. And he had me snap a photo, a selfie, while, because he know, like, he's like, bro, I forever know
Right.
from that moment when I see you who you are, you know? But that representation, that moment in hip hop taught me everything about this culture. And then when you talk about, KRS has a song talking about the 9 elements of hip hop, and one of those elements is street entrepreneurialism. No job, just go up and get them. Go get them. And that, in a lot of ways, was the development of this business.
Wow.
Bro, you're just dropping jewels. Right
I
there.
know that.
I'm gonna drop that there because that'll go. That's a whole story. If you want to talk about, we could talk about. But where the basis of hip hop comes from is really that moment in time of I never saw hip hop judge anybody. Every bit of judgment that hip hop that's been created out of hip hop is when money, media, and the industry took control of
Money, media, manipulation.
took control of the culture and utilized it for what it became. Okay, and if you think about it, very true to the KRS-One way. Bro, KRS-One taught me about veganism back in '88.
He was always talking about it.
Leave. What are leave? When will this poisonous product cease? Okay, there's a whole song where he talks about, you know, all the drugs that are pumped into to meat, that those drugs become part of the cells of that animal. Then you freeze it and pack it, and then you consume it. How do those things not become part of your DNA and your
makeup?
Your makeup. You know what I mean? And that was fed to me in '88. But now here I am living this lifestyle, understanding where, you know, talking about the book How to Eat to Live from Elijah Muhammad. You know, where's a white kid from Queens getting that book out of the library at that age? You know what I'm saying? Because I was exposed to it, and it's like, okay, if that's who the people who seem to be dropping a lot of knowledge on things that I could see, right? I'm living. Another part of this is where I went to school. Now, bro, you have to appreciate, I was a problem child.
I understand completely.
Okay, right?
Believe me. Yeah.
Okay, I am consequence. You mess with the bull, you are absolutely going to get the horns, and that's all I could say about that, right? Like, right? Like, that's the kind of kid I was. Okay,
yeah.
so right, so
Right.
then they decide to ship me off to a school I went to Louis Armstrong Middle School, which at the time was 1% white, and I was the 1%.
Right.
Okay, but now I get immersed in a culture that is not mine. I get immersed in a culture where, as a drummer and a person who likes drumming, and I hear beatboxing and I see the boom bap on the table, dude.
Right,
Well,
right.
like, dude, that's my swag. I can do that. So, you know what I mean? And then the cipher gets started, and now you're the backbone to that. So not, again, there's no judgment in that. That's just you doing you and everybody doing them around you. Because it wasn't like, oh, I'm a white kid from Queens that listened to the Fat Boys album and figured out how to go. You know what I'm saying? It was genuine and like, oh no, I hear the art in that. I understand the voice, the breath control, the vocal control that goes, how to do that and not hurt yourself from being able to do it consistently, right?
Right.
So those moments cemented my journey in hip hop. Our first business, we had an Italian restaurant, and we switched credit card processors, and 90% of our revenue came from credit card processing. And this guy switches over, and I told him, I was like, look, man, you know that I rely on that money to pay bills, pay payroll, can't miss a beat. 21 days, this guy loses my money. Now I'm at the point where I'm not able to pay payroll. I'm about to close my business. I can't buy food.
Oh,
Like,
crap.
and now the guy's ducking my phone calls and my wife. But now at the time I was just recently saved. I became a Christian. And, you know, I'm praying like, Lord, please save this fool from what's about to happen. Okay. And just nothing after nothing. So one Sunday morning, I go walking out the door. My wife's like, where you going? I said, I'm going to get our money. And she's like, I'm calling the pastor. You go call the pastor. You go call whoever it is that you're going to get. I'm going to get our money. So I drive up to this dude's office, sit down, and the secretary's sitting there and she's like, can I help you? And I go, no, you can't help me, but I'm here to see Joe. And she goes, does Joe know you're coming? I go, I don't think so. I was like, but you probably should let him know I'm here. So she gets on the phone and she's like, Joe, you know, there's a gentleman out here to see you. What's your name, sir? Rich Bernard from NYC Pizza and Pasta. It's Rich Bernard from NYC Pizza and Pasta. He's got a bat.
So out of bad.
So she's like, all right, 1 minute. I said, okay. So opens the door and I go in. I go, look, bro. I go, I'm just being real as real could be with you. I'm gonna be straight up.
Mhm.
I go, it's 21 days. I'm about to close my business. I'm about to lose my house. Like, I am not losing all my shit for your incompetence. I'm telling you straight up. You're writing me a check for all of my money right now. And I'm going to tell you this. If you write me that check, and before the time I get to the bank and cash it, that thing don't bounce, this was a courtesy. You saw me coming this time. Like, I'm paying you the respect of coming you and telling you to your face, this is now a you problem, not a me problem. Our situation and scenario ends right now when you write me my check. I'm walking out, and how you make that right, I don't care. But bro, next time you don't get the benefit of a visit or a face-to-face before it comes. He wrote me the check, walked out of there, went and deposited in the bank. 2 days later, check cleared. My wife goes, I don't understand what happened. I go, what happened? I can tell you what happened. The man did what he had to do because he had to do it.
Yep.
Not because he wanted to.
He
Or,
pressed you, and now you pressed him.
and I'm not trying to be disrespectful about it. I'm not trying to, I don't want to cause harm. My motto, dude, in life is don't start none, won't be none. When I do something, I start it and finish it the right way, because if I start it off and try and do something the wrong way, it's going to come back. And then I'm 10 times more pissed because I didn't do it right the first time.
Yeah.
Just do it right. Simple. Might take a little bit more time, might be a little bit more time consuming, cost a little bit more money, be more of a pain in the ass. But in the long run, less aggravation, less issues and problems. And that's the way I went about it. But I am that person. Now, I will also say that I've come to, on my mental health journey, learn that I have complex PTSD because of some of the ways I grew up, and I went into treatment for that. And, you know, because
It helps.
you know,
Therapy helps.
well, I will tell you, you know, when they're giving you the things and they're going, okay, let's talk about degrees of escalation and degrees of, you know, there's I'm upset, and then there's I'm really upset, and then there's like I'm extremely upset, and then it's like I'm pissed, right? And so the lady draws this whole thing on the board, and she looks at me and she goes, okay, so where are you on the spectrum? And I go, it's not there. And she goes, well, what do you mean it's not there? I go, when you can find me the point that doesn't go from that to that, like that, then you're in the right spot. But until that point, there's all that before we go to that.
I'm there.
Like you, I told you I could do this all day. I'm just gonna give you two things, and then I am gonna shut up so that you can have some say on your own damn show.
You're great.
No, this is great.
So
This is what it is.
anyway, bank. And I'm working at this bank. And I am doing things at the bank they had never seen done before. Okay, when you're neurodivergent, you can do things that are not normal because you are not normal.
Right.
Okay, so I'm managing 24 people in 4 different states. They've never had somebody successful manage more than 12 people ever. Okay, much less having them manage remote. Okay, they give me a goal of 200 billion the first year with nobody. Okay, I did 450 billion. They give me a number the next year of 480 billion. I do 800 billion. Okay, the next year I'm in the trillions. Okay, trillions. This is before what you even knew what a trillion was. Like, I will tell you because I had to look it up because I couldn't believe the amount of zeros I was looking at on my goal sheet. If you took a 6x6 pallet, the regular wood pallet, and you pack that 6 foot high all the way around, like Tony Montana style, Walter White, Breaking Bad, piles of money. Okay, 6 foot tall, 6 foot wide, all the way around, stacked 2 by 2, so 4 bricks. It is 88,000 tractor trailers full of money. Google it. If you're watching this, go after this conversation and Google, what does $1 trillion look like? Because that's what I had to do to figure out my goal, to even find out that it's 88,000 tractor trailers full of $100 bills.
Oh my God. And that's $100 bills.
100,000.
Okay?
Plant-based. No animales were harmed in the making of this amazing food.
Garlic rolls. Cinnamon rolls turn into garlic bread.
Damn, bro.
Dip that into some spicy marinara.
Oh, that's right. Spicy. Marinara. You heard it right.
So what happens is we put this down, we put the chicken on the eggplant on top of it with some spicy marinara. This will change our world.
Definitely.
Come on, put a foot in this thing.
Thank you, bro.
Oh, you would know I've been missing for the world.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, good one.
Look at that. These fools are bumping hip hop.
Quiet storm. Look at me up, converted into hip hop. So I'm looking at this as a goal, and I'm like, so they decide they send a team. And when I say a team, these people spent 3 weeks with me trying to get in here and figure out what makes me. They do a behavioral analysis. It's 15 pages long. Okay, I have the copy. I will literally snap a picture to show the validation of it. Now, what's great about this is this thing tells you everything you need to know about me in a glance. Okay, it tells, first thing it says, there's like 4 people in history who are built like me. Okay, and most of them aren't good. Okay, so it's just like, it's like, first of all, this kind of person. So in the normal box of behaviors, and this is funny, it's actually in their analysis. Okay, when this the type A corner ends here, they literally put a star outside of the box towards the end of the page going, there's no measurement for the box that he's so far out there that's not even a measurement.
You don't have a cap.
You're
There's no
literally
cap.
out of the box.
You know, General Patton was one of the people that had this. Okay. So it's just like Albert Einstein, one of the people that had this. You're just so far out of, you can't put that person in that situation.
Right.
So I'm flipping through this thing and I'm like, wow, it teaches you if you're a person that has to engage me, for something positively, this is the way to do it. If you have to engage me for something that's going to affect this is how it gives a roadmap for other people on how to deal with me. So I was like, wow, this is like the instruction manual for me, because in the end, I'm over here going, nuh-uh, sorry, crazy ends right here.
Yeah.
And I have no problem speaking truth to power in a corporate environment. Now, here's the thing. I'm making so much money because I'm doing my job so well that, bro, I'll do me better than anybody else can. You step out my way. I know. But now I'm making so much money. I don't need your gifting I don't need to go on no vacation with you and your people. I don't need to go and hang out with people at work that I don't want to. I don't need you. You need me. Okay?
Right.
So every year I was with that bank. Every year. I would get to the last deal where I could win it. I'd have that deal in my account by April, May, mid-year. So everybody knew he's already there. He's already made it. He's already got it in the bag.
Right.
And I wouldn't turn in another piece of business until after the contest was over, and make them, nope, didn't make the trip. Sorry. And then the day the contest would end, I'd flood it in and hand in like all of my goal for the remainder of the year in one fell swoop. And they go, where did all this come from? I go, just wanted to let you all know, I will never, ever, ever go anywhere with y'all. Ever. You could pay for me. You could pay for my whole family. You could bring in the Wu-Tang Clan. Okay. And I'm just telling you,
Nope.
you don't owe me. You'll never owe me. For as off the charts as someone like Kanye can be portrayed, I understand that mentality of just because you think you hold the leash, don't mean you own the animal, right? Like,
Right.
just understand. I let you hold on to me because I thought mutually this was going to work out.
Exactly. And then you just let it go, right? Right.
And then now, so the last year I was there, they literally came to me and they said, would you please, we're asking you, would you please turn in your stuff, make the deal, because everybody asks every year why you don't go. Everybody clearly knows why you make it. We send everybody to you for training. Like everybody knows it's you and they don't understand why. And we don't like explaining to them the why, right? Because you did me dirty. And I'm like, all right, because you asked nice. Sure. He will destroy you. Bro, one way or another. It might take a little bit of time. Water is the greatest natural disaster there is.
It erodes everything.
Right? The Grand Canyon was one drip at a time. Just took some time.
It was just a little crack nomás.
Yeah.
Just a
Man,
little
that's-
bit of time.
Yeah, bro. Hey, you make a lot of sense.
Drip.
I mean, he will destroy you. I mean,
That's who I am when no
It's a
one's
journey.
looking, right? Like that's
Yeah.
just that's
you've become the Grand Canyon in your own way in your journey, though.
yeah. No, well, you know, there's a artist called Lizzie, an independent artist. She's got a phenomenal voice, got a great catalog, and in one of her songs, it's called "Carving Canyons," and it talks about that, you know, the water, if you will, from tears have carved all these canyons, and you know, you don't think about it at the time, but now you're left with this beautiful landscape of what that carving those canyons has done over time, you know, and um, that's the part of this journey for me, especially with mental health, because I didn't know that the reason I was the way that I was because of my mental health struggles. I just thought that's the way that I was,
Yeah, totally.
right? Like,
Right.
That's just me. That's how I react. That's
You know,
it's normal.
for as many people tell me, why do you try to act black? I don't try to
Nah,
act black.
never.
I grew up in a predominantly black culture, a predominantly black neighborhood, a predominantly black school, a predominantly black. So, you know, I was like, Tarzan didn't realize he was, not to put this in an off color way, among the apes. He just realized he was among people who understood him, and he
Right.
reflected
He saw
that.
them the same.
Right. There was
They
no,
saw him the
right,
same.
He didn't see himself. He didn't see himself as color or think of them as any different than the people
We
he
were the
is.
same.
Yeah.
But other people put that on him.
Yes.
Other people put that on media. Other people put that on relationships. Other people, you know, put that
Right.
on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
And it's people who generally don't, are uneducated. That's the one thing. Everything I know, I'm educated about. It's not that I just have a surface relationship with an education, with the cultures that I, you know, look, even the fact that we're a Mohawk, okay? It's an indigenous hairstyle. I'm not taking over the indigenous hairstyle. But if you know where the Mohawk emanates from, where did it come from? Where is its background? And this is the
Right.
difference between pretending, if you will. Like you can name any hip hop song, I could probably tell you where the samples from those songs in that
Come from. Right.
because I want to know what influenced the artist that influenced me, because that's at the root of what is real,
Yeah.
right? In the East Coast, in New York, there was a tribe of indigenous people that were fierce warriors, considered among the fiercest in the nation. And this was their hairstyle. They wore. Now, what's crazy about it, my whole life, ever since I was a little kid, like, you know how people say that I identify, or they have like some identity crisis, where I felt like a boy or a girl my whole life. Like that,
Yeah.
you didn't teach that. You didn't teach, like, if they just felt that way, I could, my whole life, the only time my hair, like I felt comfortable in myself was when I had a mohawk. My whole life. Like, no idea why or where that comes from.
Right.
Like, no idea. Like, it's not like I saw it anywhere except Mr. T.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the A-team. And that came, but ever since, even my wife, she's like, really? Even when I worked at the bank, when I got my numbers so high they couldn't mess with me, straight into Mohawk. Go out there. You can't go out and see customers like that. Hell, I can't.
Yeah.
I book more business with my Mohawk than anything else. Because if I could do it with a challenge, bro,
Right.
you know what I mean? Watch me spin. You know what I mean? And that's where, so when I get challenged by people, because people like to challenge, like, did you racially misappropriate my culture by that? No, I respect you. Somewhere in, like, I don't know culturally if maybe there is that in my lineage or my background because there's something inside me that says I'm not the right version of me unless this is what I look like. And I don't have that with other things. I will tell you, you'll roll up on me anyway. You'll roll up on me on a wedding. The only difference is I have a jacket on.
Right.
Okay. You're going to find me in a black concert t shirt, period. I have 24 pairs of these pants, okay, that I've had since the 80s.
Right.
Okay. They don't make them anymore. You cannot buy 3-stripe Adidas that doesn't have the zipper basketball bottoms. They stopped making them about 10 years ago. Okay. I have 24 pairs that have been in constant rotation since 87. Those are the only pair of pants I wear. When I worked in corporate America and I had to look like the sheep, I wore the suit, I did the whole thing. But the second I can get out of that, this is the way you're going to find me. This is who I am
Right.
all day, every day. Don't care. You want me to show up at your wedding? You know I'm going to show up. I'll put sneakers on and I'll put a jacket on. But other than that, this is the way I'm
You're gonna
showing.
get me all the time.
Don't
no
want me to
matter
come
what.
like that because I'm going to ruin your pictures. All right, I'll send the gift.
Right.
That's just no disrespect. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
So I tend to be very conscious of respecting the person that I believe that I am, to not be fake, phony, or disingenuous in a world that is fake, phony, and disingenuous. Um, I'm I'm the first person when I do something wrong. That was me. Oh yeah, and this is why I did
Accountability.
it.
Accountability.
We talk about that all the time. Nope.
Okay, but yet the whole world the reason words work is because we have a mutually agreed upon reasoning for what the meaning of that word is. We all agree we call this a cup. That's the only reason it's called a cup. We could have called it La Platuna, right? And had the same validity if we all just decided to call it. The reason money has value is because we all agreed a piece of paper is worth $1.
Yeah.
It's an agreed upon. It doesn't exist in reality. We've all just agreed that we're going to agree that this is what it means.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
But again,
Right.
the perceived notion of the arbitrariness of what we choose to throw stones at, right? To say, oh, this can be used, that can't be used. This is acceptable, that's not acceptable. Which, okay, let's break this down. If you're an American living in this country, you can't say anything. Zero.
Social media either.
You have nothing to say about any of this. You don't get to talk about immigration. You don't get to all these illegals coming over the border. Bro, we were the original illegals that came over the border. And just
We've been
imagine,
saying this.
just imagine. Seriously, I've heard a comedian or two mention this, but just literally imagine, okay, if the indigenous people just like knocked on your door and go, hey, I happen to discover this is Arizona.
Ours. Yeah, it's ours now.
And this is us because we can plague you and kill out 98% of the population. We could make you sick, ill, drive you into we basically could kill you to the point of ending you. So just assimilate.
Right.
Take that in any stream, right? If you look at rock and roll, it's one thing to give respect to the blues, but it's a whole other thing to make it your own and then call it your own and then say this is me, right? That's therein is lie the difference, right?
Yes.
But you have a number of people that do pay homage. Led Zeppelin never stopped saying all we did was take the things that profoundly impacted us. That's if hip hop went wrong anywhere, it was charging for samples, right? Like that's where music could have gotten exposed so much further because I know so much more music out of going and listening to the samples and finding where those samples. I have more music in my library out of music that I went and hunted down, digging in a crate because I wanted to find what the original sounded like. They should have been bringing those bands out on tour so that people could have been exposed to
Get
those
familiar
bands and
with
get familiar and get exposed. And there would have built more of the. But now, watch out! You're building more of your own means for distribution than the machine.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole conversation now takes so when you look at everything I am, the two worlds of being, the KRS One, the Chuck D's, where it's the underground hip hop culture, where but then you have radio. They say that hip hop's living on your radio station. Where no, that's not hip hop to most people who are hip hop. That's rap. And rap ain't hip hop, right? So
Say this all the time. You're an MC or you're a rapper. You rap or you're hip hop.
So when you look at that, that's either in your framework, and that's the people. Like when you look at KRS-One, that's who he is when nobody's looking. That's not who he's choosing to be for the benefit. That's just this is how I have to represent the truest form of me, and that in itself is the freedom and enlightenment, and you know what I mean. Like I'm good because I'm good.
Mhm.
Now my mental health isn't good because of the fact of what's been how people push them on the perspective of the way you exist, right? Like somehow I do harm by telling you the truth. I'm sorry if the truth isn't what you want to hear, but it is what it is until it ain't. So why not get to the part where we resolve whatever it is? It's not out of Martin Luther King. We can be agreeable, we can be disagreeable. We cannot be violently disagreeable with one another.
Mhm.
But that's the way we're being driven. That's the way it's being. And again, if you look at this culturally, it started when music offered the freedom. Hip hop, right? When hip hop started off in musical freedom, the media and everything tried to portray every. I was at every one of those shows. Never felt threatened in any of them. It was more like a love fest because now you had the Beastie Boys out there. So now you had a multi-diverse, multicultural events happening where New York's that way. If you ride the subway, you're in a multicultural.
She been there.
I've been there. Yeah.
Everybody knows how to be in New York.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to be taught how to be around other cultures or other
Mhm.
people. You just be
Mhm.
and be right. Because if you're not right, the other person is going to have no problem telling you you're wrong. Not because you're your culture and they're theirs, because you're in the New York culture. And in New York culture, we all have to get along and live to one another. So, hey, bro, you just stepped over the line. Sorry, I understand you like to do it that way, but that
Not
don't work
around
here.
here.
That's so crazy. See, and there's a reason why I've been wanting to live in New York, and that's
Yeah.
probably exactly why.
Especially because when you went out there, I've
Yeah.
been wanting to go.
Yeah.
It's a certain it's a certain vibe,
It's
like you
no,
said.
I learned how fast paced it was, how everybody's just you do your own thing and you fuck up. Like you said, you fuck up, somebody's gonna tell you something. You know people are tourists because you see them all with their cameras up and people are like, get out of my way, please. I'm trying to get to work. Like, just get out the fucking way.
My wife one time we're in New York and she needed to get somebody's phone number on the phone and she has a piece of paper, she doesn't have a pen. And now she's trying to stop people on the street in New York to ask for a pen. Now I'm standing
Oh
back just
Oh
shit.
no.
laughing, bro. Because there's just no way
Nobody's
anybody is so about 50 people walk by and she's just like, what the fuck is wrong with all you people? Like nobody stopped. I'm laughing. I'm stopping like you really thought anybody. She's like, hello, where I'm from, they would have stopped, took the number, like, called ahead to send a flower, like something. I'm like, no, 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 no.
Not
Yeah.
here. You're on a different timeline here.
Yeah, nope.
No,
Just
I
straight to where I
remember
need to go and
one
that's
time
it.
I was running my route in Brooklyn. I can see it today. I think about it in my head. I'm rolling a wheelbarrow worth of stuff into some place, and there's three guys chasing this one guy down the street with a lead pipe. He's screaming for his life, and he's running, and they catch up to him about 5 feet away from me. And the first kid cracks him. He falls to the ground about 2 feet away from where my dolly is, and I'm walking. I'm like, sorry, bro, don't know what you did, don't want to know, and shoot, kept
Yep.
going. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, man, whatever you did, shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't start none, won't be none.
When you're in it, you're like, no, I'm good
The
here.
only, I'll be truthful, the only place in New York I never walked was the Bronx. The only time I went up there was for the Harlem show after that,
And that
because
was it.
that gentleman told me like the real of, I understand you feel you can carry yourself where your cultural visual doesn't play out,
Mhm.
but you can't.
It's like a scene. You're saying this is like a scene out of Bronx Tale, where the kids from another neighborhood come through where they're in their social club. They're like, what the fuck is this? And then when he walks the girl to the bridge, and these fools are like, what are you doing
Yeah.
here?
See, the funny thing is with the Bronx Tale, which is one of my favorite movies. Thanks for mentioning that, because my favorite scene when you talk about "He Will Destroy You" is that scene with Chaz Palminteri with the bikers in the bar, and he
Yes.
turns around and locks the door, and he turns around and goes to him, "Now you just can't leave."
Yep.
And I look, see, bro, the hands thing,
You're
like
sending up.
every bit of me. That's when the light switch goes on me. Insanity, rage, and adrenaline all mixed together. I People I've seen when I
You're
come
a
out
different
of, I
person.
am.
They don't even know who you
No,
are.
no, they all like everybody has this look on their face afterwards, like, what was that. Like I've had a Heinz 57 bottle broke over my head by a guy, and I always every fight I've ever had my whole life I've given the first. You get the first 2 shots for free. You don't knock me out or kill me, then I'm not responsible for what happens to you. Then it's because at that point,
Yeah.
if I assault you, right, and I go to court, I'm going to say I let them hit me twice before the point where I just. And
Yeah.
after that, whatever happens, happens, right? So,
Jesus.
Man, I love this. This
bro,
is
I told you, you can wind me up and I can do my life
you've
has
done
been a
an
Martin
impeccable job.
Scorsese movie, man. It really has. It's been a Martin Scorsese
No,
movie.
your journey it definitely sounds like that.
Well, aside from the destroying and everything, right? We want to lighten things up because
Yeah, my wife is over here like she's gonna be like, "Why did you have all that
What's
bad
going on?
negative things to say?" Blah, blah. Okay, look, I say all that to say that your validation for anything in life should be your own. It shouldn't be emanating or controlled or and everything that I know that's good and true. If you have a relationship with Christ, if you have a true one-on-one relationship, it emanates out of knowing him in that
Mhm.
way. Period. Okay. I was an atheist, devout atheist. I did not believe in God since the nun told me that
You're gonna be damned
to hell
your
because my
Your
family.
parents got
parents were
divorced. Like,
divorced.
that cemented that action, right? So much
Right.
so that I got physically violent. Like, okay, bet. Like, if it's off, if I'm going to hell, then I'm going to have fun doing it.
I'm in the handbasket. Let's
You know
go.
what I mean? Like, all right, now you just took the band-aid off. Guess we're going to bleed. So, once I had a true experience and I've seen that experience live out, now I don't have a choice because I know my validation doesn't come from what somebody tells me. I don't have to go to a church for me to know. I don't have to go to a specific church or a pastor to know. I don't have to belong to a specific denomination to know. Okay? Like the people that I respect have all different religious backgrounds.
Right.
They all ultimately believe in something that drives them genuinely.
Mhm.
And that's what's important, that there is something that's genuinely driving us all. And if we all figured out, forget universal gems, let's just talk about the reality of it, is that if we took away, I'll put this in a different respect, I'll put it in food so we can stay on track. How I wound up on this journey is 5 years ago, being a foodie and a chef my whole life. I got sick out of nowhere. Okay. Everything I eat is starting to make me sick. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm vomiting. I'm spending about 6 hours a day in the bathroom every day. And this is going on for about 4 years. Okay. And I'm just thinking stress or it'll just fix itself. And I'm just going about doing what I have to do. But eventually it becomes debilitating to the point where I can't even move off the couch. And I wound up bedridden for 8 months. Okay. And everything I'm reading says you should try a plant based diet for 2 to 4 weeks. Something about it's been known to restart the immune system. So I'm already in bed, I'm already on my back, but in reading, you start to learn and you start to kind of get these things that unlock why and where and how, and because you're just taught things or told things, but you don't. With food, when I was bedridden for 8 months and I couldn't eat, I went, the longest stretch was 10 days. Okay. And what happened is somewhere it disconnected the emotional relationship and the relational relationship with food. Meaning, whenever I wanted to eat, it was more like getting gas in your car. My stomach told me I was hungry. I felt a little devoid of energy. And I just went and picked up, for 3 years that I lived this lifestyle, 3 meals a day, every day, all I ate was rice and beans. 3 years, every day. Had a baseline, wasn't getting sick, was fed, I was feeling great, no issues, no problem. Rice and beans, 3 meals a day. Did that. But now I'm not eating because I'm thinking about my grandmother's lasagna or my aunt's tamales or my cousin's chicken or my brother's fish or my aunt's barbecue or I wasn't associating a person's food with what I wanted to eat, if that'll make sense.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it disconnected I don't have to get together with somebody like, hey, let's go hang out. Oh, let's go get something to eat. Let's go meet for breakfast. Let's go get lunch. Let's go get an ice cream. Let's go to the movies to get, some popcorn or like all of that being disconnected. Food now just becomes whenever I get hungry, whenever I feel tired, just eat something. Now it's just gas. Total shift in how you eat. I eat pretty much about once a day. I eat probably about 700 or 800 calories for the day. And I will outwork, outrun. I work 20-hour days most days. Okay. But I feel I'm 53 years old and have all the energy of my 30s without caffeine. Right? There's because I know, not because I've been told, not because I
You went through
heard,
it.
not because I've got a grasp of this journey that changed how everything came after that, and paying respect to that, of going, okay, I don't judge people if they eat a non-plant-based lifestyle. I cater to the people who don't eat a plant-based lifestyle. I try to make my food as something they can assimilate to very easily for that benefit of going, look, it's just good food.
It is.
Don't call it good vegan food, right? Like
Good
this
food.
is the problem I have with the food you eat. Like I don't have to call it good. You call it it's good steak. It just is what it is, right? But if it was a vegan steak, I gotta call it it's a good vegan steak. Well, no, it's just a good steak. What it's made from or what it's made out of, you don't know necessarily that that's really steak. You take that as again a presume. We all agree that if we call it a steak, it's a
It's a
steak.
steak. Yeah.
But because in the vegan world, we're all agreeing that it's a steak, but we don't all agree on what it can be made out of because it can be made out of a watermelon, a mushroom, oil, you know what I'm saying? Like it can be made out of 90 different things. So now I got to ask. That's where that label comes.
Right. Vegans call it a steak. Do Mexican people call it Mexican food in Mexico or German food in Germany? German food? No, it's food.
It's food,
Yeah, it's
right?
food.
You don't go to Germany and be like, hey, I'd like some German food, please.
Yeah. They're like, what? What did you just say?
Yeah,
Right.
actually, that's actually
Italian food?
that's
No, you.
interesting. Is a French fry called a French fry in France?
No, they're chips. No, no, they don't. Wait, we're gonna have
They're
to
not
ask
even. I
Sebastian. They don't have.
know
They just
they're
have.
not even French. Like fries are not even French. I have no idea where we even got French fries from,
But that's why they
but
call them
it's
chips.
because, like he said, we all agreed
And
that
assimilate.
the French fry is a French fry.
Right now, the anything I've done with artists, because I've done a lot of work with artists. One of my favorite things in the world to do is be like, I wonder if I could. Okay, so like one time I was like, I wonder if I could write a book. So I set out to do it, and I wrote a book. Okay, and bro, it's not a book is about 56 to 60,000 words. Sounds easy enough, but sit down and try and write 56 to
No,
60,000 words.
that's a lot.
And you find you can't keep saying the same things over. Like it has to find a voice. But what I sat down and I started doing it and I committed to a process, all of a sudden this voice rose up and this process just started to happen. Like because I called on it and I was willing to go there and let it try to express itself and I was listening to it and letting it came out and it was there. And I do that with food, right? Like, okay, if I see something and I'm drawn to it and I can kind of connect with it and I go, okay, it's speaking to some part of me. Why not engage it and see if it does that not what you do with music? Like you hear a beat and you go, okay, man, there's something
It does or doesn't.
you're
make-
like yeah, and there's something to it that's speaking to the part of you that has something to say. It may not be a voice to say it. There's some part of you that knows I have to act upon this. And that exists in so many facets of my life that I thought that's just the way that it is. But people aren't built that way at all. Right. So when I'm with an artist, I try to respect. Like, I want you to do you. I don't want to impede. Now, I might make some suggestions. I might take things to, I would have been a great producer. Like, that's, if I would have played,
Still can be, though.
but see, that's the part about it, right?
For real, I say this all the time.
I could if I had the technological capacity, because the burden of introduction or to get involved is such a technological mountain to me, because it's all technologically like built now, that it's I've learned how to edit originally analog,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Which was an art in itself, how to
Reel
get
to
those
reel.
things in a millisecond when you're cutting it. It's not a digital footprint. That
Right.
part was an art. I love that. I enjoyed that because I had a capacity because it was very low tech. Now that you're in this high tech world,
That's what we were
but
doing.
see, now to work with somebody that I can say, this is what I'm trying to get out of me. Can you help me get that out? That's what I try to be for other artists. That's what I try to be for other food artists. When we do Food Truck Fridays here, there are people that are bringing in that I represent or recognize their abilities, but they don't always know how to sell it or monetize it or there's a way that you can market yourself without pimping yourself because everybody that sold a tape out of a trunk wasn't out there pimping, they were marketing.
Yep.
Yeah, bro, you're already a producer just by saying that on Fridays. You represent a group of people that believe in themselves.
Yes.
They just don't know how to put it out there. They don't have the knowledge that you have, but you believe in them enough. So you
Yeah.
go, come on through on
One
Fridays.
of my buddies is a music artist up
That's hip.
in Canada, and he's popular, he's very widely known. And I became friends with him just by accident, right? He was on Facebook. I loved his music, and I told him one time, I was like, "Hey, if you ever want to come to Arizona and do a show, there's a venue here called the MIM. That's a great venue.
Him.
Let me see if I can, you know." And he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You think there'd be a spot for an unknown Canadian artist?" I'm like, "I know I can pull about 130, 140 people. It seats 300. We could probably make something happen." So he's like, "All right." So we started talking. We just started talking. So the next thing, I'm reaching out to the booking agent. Hey, and boom, dude, I did 3 shows there. 2 of them were sold out. Okay. Just because I thought, hey, man, what if? What if?
Yeah.
Then I go to Jacob and go, "Hey, man, did you ever do a vinyl record? Because I really would like a vinyl record from you." And he goes, "No, man, I never." I go, "Hey, man, how about this? I'll do it. I'll put up all the money for it. I'll produce it. All you do is pay me for my cost once you have the units, and then you can sell them and make all your money back." Okay. And he's like, "Bet." So I produced the record. I put out this vinyl. Dude, homeboy pays me for my cost, and I gave him all the proceeds, and he made 5 times his money, which I'm happy to do because he's an artist trying to feed a family, right? But for me, it was just, can I do it? Can I say that I'm going to do something and actually see it happen, which is what you're seeing here. Like if you saw what this place looked like before what it is now, everybody came in here and went, "You're crazy.
How'd you do this?
You're crazy."
Right.
And I'm 6 figures heavy into this place. Okay. It costs money.
Yeah.
No lie. I mean, I'm not going to, people come in here all the time telling me how they want to do food. 2 things I tell them. Number one is bring me your food and let me eat it. And I'm going to tell you the straight up real. Now, what I tell them is exactly this. If you've ever watched American Idol, what people sing and everybody looks at them and go, "Who told you you could sing?" And they go, "Well, my mom and my dad and my family and my friends, they all think I'm a great singer." And they look and they go, "Well, yeah, you can sing, but you can't sing on this
At
platform
this level,
Right,
yeah.
right.
at this level. Like you can sing, there's a voice there, but okay."
You ain't doing, yeah.
And here's the
Yeah.
thing, I tell this to people all the time. Good as a hobby, great as a business. Okay? Good as a hobby, great as a business. If you can't get something that gets people off their couch, you're done. Stop right there. You are never going to make past go, collect $200. You are going to be stuck in jail because good is a hobby, great is a business. Now, with that being said, who am I? Well, I'm somebody that every time I've laid my hands to food, it's translated into the right thing for the people that have engaged it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second thing is when I tell them, whenever I eat it, if I eat it and I go, "Oh my gosh, man, this is going to get me off my couch. You're onto something. I'll give you access. I'll give you a platform. I'll clear the playing field for you because you should have a space where it is." Okay. But I'm going to tell you the other part of it too, where if it ain't right, I don't mean to disrespect you. To me, there's no
disrespect,
ego.
right.
There's no ego in food.
Hey, we'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned. We're gonna go to commercial break, pay some bills. We'll be right back. Oh my God, oh my God. Mira. Hey, if you don't already know, you need to get down here. They're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, though. It's like around Avalon and 68th Street. I'll put the information for you, but a la verga, güey. Pinche, that's not even carne, look. Farm Italia, Big Bakery. Mira con su puta madre. Look, potatoes and peas with un poquito pinche hot sauce. I think he said a la verga. Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back. There's no reservations. Shout outs to Big Bakery and Creamery. Let them know No Reservations sent you. It's a great place, great food. Go check them out. But Rich, before we went to commercial, you were telling us about KRS-One and this particular song. You know, letting us know you a little bit of your journey, telling the community. You were very like open. It was like a very open book. So first and foremost, thank you again. We're so gracious to have you here. But yeah, like the song. Let's segue with that into your love language.
So I will say, I guess I know the love languages. Um, my love language probably is music lyrics. To be honest with you, when part of my mental illness in struggling with complex PTSD was I learned to dissociate, right? So to unplug, so to not feel anything, right? I understand what it looks like. I understand what it sounds like. I understand everything about it, but I'm not connected to it because I don't feel it. That makes sense. Okay. So it's like you can listen to a beautiful piece of music and hear that it's a beautiful piece of music, but not be touched by it emotionally at all. Okay. You just hear it for what it is. It's just a piece of music. Okay. But that's when my particular mental illness, that part limits a lot of things. But musically, I connect with music. Music opens that door. I can connect. I can usually speak. I could speak my emotions through what I'm saying lyrically, right? Like I know how to tell you what's wrong by telling you what somebody else has said because they maybe felt the emotion and put it into words. I know what the words mean, but I didn't know the emotion that led to the words, right?
Yes.
So, it's like when KRS, he's been a great representation of that because he speaks his truth in music and says it in a way that I go, I can relate. And it's same thing with Chuck D, same thing with Rakim, same thing with Big Daddy Kane, same thing with Black Thought. Like when you take my top five, these are guys who if you learn how to walk between the raindrops of what they're saying is everything in here. I just didn't know that that's what it felt like. They're articulating what the feeling is, but in the word again, when you're eating 5 cent gums, not knowing where your next meal's coming from,
Right.
right? That thing, like I remember going to buy 5 cent bazookas from the bodega across the street from Louis,
Waters.
and they had the comic in it. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like,
That was your
you had to
entertainment.
chew on it real hard.
Yeah, it would lose flavor before you finish the comic.
You know.
Yeah.
But again, you have a connection. But Karas has been and in that song MCs Act Like They Don't Know, he has a line that says, if you don't know me by now, I guess you'll never know me. I never won a Grammy, I won't win a Tony, but I'm not the only MC keeping it real. Right. And that's ultimately kind of what I hold true to is that I don't care if I'm known. I don't care if I'm garnered or liked or respected or famous or rich. Um, what I care about is that when customers have anything that I do, I won't even call it food. I mean, anything that I do, I hope they have an experience that was unique to them that they can't get outside of me. That's the only thing that I have a value, right? Like if you take me out of every equation, it's not going to be what it was because, and you hear about stuff like, I've heard this said about ODB and Wu-Tang a lot. Okay, for as crazy and off the wall as ODB was in Wu Tang, every member of Wu Tang will say the whole reason Wu Tang is what Wu Tang is because of ODB, because of the way he believed what ODB, what Wu Tang is and what it should be. Like
His belief in them.
right? He said this
is going to be the best.
right. And he made everybody else believe it was possible. He made everybody, and with me, I've always said, look, if you have a dream, but you don't know how to sell it, you don't know how to monetize it, you don't know how to manufacture it in a way to make it work. Well, those are things that I can do. Those are giftings I can have. Not to use you, but if I could help you because you deserve a place among a space of mediocrity, then that's what I'm looking. That's like a producer. That's what I want to see you. When you hear Rick Rubin, he's worked with so many people, and you see him. Well, how did you start in hip hop and work all this? He goes, I'm a lover of music. I don't have a preconceived notion. I go in and I listen as a fan, and if it sounds like, yeah, I'd want that. If it would get me off my couch, I would buy that. Then that's good, and that's what it boils down to. And the problem is that Today, you could put something out there and the validation comes from people that, yes, it may sound good. Yes, it may be okay. But fundamentally, how did it get there? Meaning, when you speak, your journey is what comes through your lyrics, right? It's not you putting those lyrics together because that's what trends on a platform's algorithm,
No.
right? But the upside of that is you're authentic to yourself and your art, and that's it. Um, that's the reason why many artists aren't famous until after the artists are gone, right? You couldn't give away a Keith Haring back in the day until Keith Haring became famous, right? You know that they did this with Banksy, where a guy, the original Banksys, he put him out on the street for $60 in New York,
Yes,
yes,
in New York,
right?
or
Whatever you
whatever
had.
you had. This was in like 2018 or 16, some shit like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And was selling $20 million for
Banksy.
$60, and people were just passing by. Some lady haggled for half off, and but again, it's the perceived value. So when you talk about love languages, really, music is unfortunately, because I will say I do like quality time, but I'm very much a loner. I will say that I do like I prefer acts of giving, not acts of receiving. So I
I
definitely
hear you.
love to give,
I
but
can
I
see
don't.
why you guys get along so
See,
well.
I love. That's why I said this off camera during commercial break too. Like, I love that you are who you are. Also, you're naturally you. I could totally relate. And then you go and say this right now. Like,
you know
it's great. You
love
know.
languages, I definitely understand. I definitely I learned after my first marriage, because I got divorced and wound up in a relationship that I was like, how did I even wind up in this relationship? Like, this person was totally not my, but what I will tell you is it just was part of my ordained journey. I wouldn't have had my child. My child is what led me to meeting my now wife, kind of like we met, but we bonded over. We both had kids around the same age. Neither of us want to have more kids, so we started to date. You know, right?
Relatability.
Like, it just,
Get to know each
there's a
other.
reason why. There's a reason why, and I will tell you, in my first marriage, I'm a predominant reason of why it didn't work, because I was a broken human being. Still am, but I didn't know I was broke at the time.
Accountability. It's that mark again, like you said before.
Hmm.
You're the first one to go. Me.
Oh yeah.
I did that.
Once I know, but a lot of
Yeah.
times you don't know. And so here's the
Again, yeah.
funny thing about it is that my wife and I have fostered, we've looked at this now, about 56 kids over our 25 years marriage together, okay? And we always seem to wind up with, the last 5 years we've wound up with kids that had trauma very much reflective in their mentality, that I was able to see myself in them, and being able to mirror, like, oh snap, like that is the way that I am, and I don't even know it.
Hmm.
They don't know it. I'm trying to explain it to them, and I might as well just be having my wife explain it to me, knowing that in a lot of times my wife has been having that, like, dude, are you nuts? Like, I've tried to tell you the same things, and then you go like, wow, like, is that what that looks like? And really? So, um, with love languages, I'm a little bit different, because when you've been dissociated, you don't really feel love. You know what the love means, the word means, and what it should look like. So that's why acts of kindness or acts of service are very much what I do as a love language, because it's a
Hmm.
perception of what looks right, even
Right.
though it isn't right on the inside.
Hmm.
Right? It
Yeah.
looks like I love you very much, even though I don't feel an emotional connection of love with you. Try
Yeah.
that one on the side. Right?
Yeah.
Now, with treatment, I've gotten that back. The hard part is, imagine now I'm a 6-year-old emotionally trying to deal with 53-year-old people, world problems. And that's where it becomes like, holy snap, dude. You would never tell a 6-year-old, like, hey, you have no money for payroll. You got to figure out what's going to happen. And, but, yeah, like in the corner
Hmm.
shivering,
Right.
Yeah.
that's but now having relationships that have depth, that's the benefit, right? So there's a flip side to being this way. That's just the same flip side of being the other way, right? You might not know me by now. and you may never know me. I might not win a Grammy, might not win a Tony, but I'm the only me I know how to be. And for me, that I show up to win that Grammy, that Tony, that, I show up to be me all the time.
You're at every end of year vacation rendezvous because you made it
That's it.
Yeah.
No one gave that to me.
Where nobody go, you can come with
You
it.
know why? Because no one can take it away from me.
No,
Hmm.
You
made it
can't take
happen.
it. What are you gonna do? Take away half my business? You want to cut your nose? Go for it. Then fire me. Why not go down that road? You know what I mean? Like that's the way I would play it. Going,
Yeah.
Let's not get this twisted. I know my value. You might be trying to tell me my value. I know my value.
Yeah, self validation. You're aware of everything.
But that's because
No
I
one.
didn't go to school. That's because I didn't show up to go to that curriculum that's designed to teach you to believe everything
But
that
look
says.
where you were at. Look what you got signed.
You know what I mean?
A ticket.
That's
The homie says, "What's up? Hey, KRS One spit a line."
but KRS-One is the guy that drops out of high school, winds up homeless on the street, right? And that homeless winds up meeting his caseworker Scott LaRock, who happens to be a DJ, who sees something in him and who believes something in him, and now they start a group and you get what I'm saying? Like if you want to talk about what there is something here that's a thread that's interwoven. It's not, I didn't buy the yarn. I didn't buy the thimble. I didn't buy the needle, right? It's just something that I'm somehow interwoven into the fabric of. And I just want to respect that because it's not my betting. It's not my, but I'm going to respect what bet I get put on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I just I wouldn't go down a whack route like that.
Right. Never.
I just have to be genuine to who I am. And even if I fail that way, I failed being me. Okay?
Yeah, the only one
To
you're
who?
hurting is yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what do they also say? You're not lying to everyone, you're lying to yourself.
Hmm.
Right? Yeah, you just failed yourself. All right, I got to do better. You got to be a better version of yourself every
And
time.
that's how I
In
fix myself,
failure.
right? Oh, I
Yes.
learned from that mistake.
Dust yourself off. All right.
That's it. I ain't gonna make that mistake. Every time, it's funny. Every time I've gotten into something, I've always gone to people who've worked in those industries and said to them, "Okay, look, you don't have to tell me what to do or how to do it. I don't want that. Tell me the stuff that you learned by falling down. That you were like, man, I wish somebody would have told me not to do this because this is how I fell down."
Hmm.
And those have been really instrumental because those things that people have given me have changed things, time, energy, and money that it would have cost me so much of those things just because they were willing to give that to me freely.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to put the way I respect that is by not doing something disrespectful with what they gave me.
Right.
Right.
Or even like you said earlier too, where it was here, taste this. How you create, you see it, you make it happen, and you go here, taste this, and just taste it.
I
Don't
told you
tell
the
me
funny
anything.
story about the
Yeah.
guy. Remember I said, asked
Yeah.
me about it? So a guy comes in the other day to the baker and he goes, "Hey, do you have anything savory? I'm in the mood for something savory." I go, "Really? I don't." I go, "But if you'll trust me to cook for you, I'll make you something." I go, "But you don't have any say on what I give you. I'm just going to give you food and you got to eat it. If you don't like it, you don't got to pay for it. If you do, you pay for it."
Right.
He's like, "All right." That was the conversation. There was no, I'm not spinning this in any way. "Hey, bro, if you let me cook for you, you take what I eat, you get to eat. If not, go somewhere else." So he sits down, and I went in the kitchen, and I made that exact sandwich that I just gave you. I took a bagel, I took a meatball,
Delicious.
okay, flattened the meatball out on the thing, hot sauce on it. We're talking 3 ingredients, bro. You got a bagel, hot sauce, and a meatball. Telling you, fire as a breakfast sandwich.
Delicious.
Okay?
Bomb as fuck. Believe me.
So I
Yeah.
go out, I put it down, I go, "Don't ask me what's in it, just eat it, and then I'll come out and tell you what's in it." So he goes, "All right." So I see him take a bite. And for me, I pick up all the nonverbals. I see the head nod. Oh, yeah. Okay, got his head bouncing. I know I'm in the right spot, right? Just like even,
Like a good beat.
right? Doesn't matter what it is. The second you hear that beat, your head goes, "Okay, all right, now
Yeah.
I know."
All
I'm on
right.
it. Okay. Then you go into, he hands it to the mom. Mom bites it, and she's like, she hands it to the
Ice cream,
son.
right?
Okay. Then the son eats it, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, so I walk out and I go, "How is it?" He goes, "Can I order 2 more, please?" I go,
Yeah.
"Sure." So I go in the back, I make 2 more, and I bring them out. And now they're all eating it. I go, "Okay, do you want to know what it is?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, it's a meatball made out of potatoes and peas." on a bagel with some hot sauce. And he's like, really? And I go, yeah, that's it. I was like, sounds simple, sounds ridiculous. I know because I eat it for breakfast almost every morning. Like, I know the experience you're having. I didn't believe it as well, but it's the reason I'm willing to give it to you because I know you're going to have that experience. So just enjoy it. He's like, great. I was like, it doesn't have to be complicated by being, oh, it has to be something. Just work. Am I lying, dude? Did it
No,
need
you're not.
cheese? Did it
Bro,
need a
it didn't
tomato?
need
Did it
anything
need...
else. I told my wife, I was like, hey, here, try this out. She's like, no, I'm good right now. I was like, all right, cool. That shit is delicious. You need to come down, check it out, do all that good stuff. But yeah, bro. And then also, because less is more. That's it.
All
It
about
didn't need.
quality.
I took a little smidge real quick as I was doing the video and shit real quick. And I took a little smidge and I was like, this is good. Not this vegan
Right.
food is good. This is good food.
Mhm.
And just went to town.
Yeah, so that's the one thing I do. We did a food truck event this past Friday night. A lady come up and she goes, "The only thing I don't need is eggplant." I go, "All right, I'll take the Pepsi challenge." I was like, "I'll bet you your dinner tonight. I'm gonna make you some eggplant. You eat it in front of me. You tell me you don't like it. You don't have to pay for it. You can order whatever you want on the menu. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you you're gonna love my." She goes, "I hate eggplant. I'm just gonna tell you I hate it." I go, "And I'm just gonna tell you you're not going to." And she goes, "All right, I'll take the Pepsi challenge, right?" So I go, I make the eggplant. I give her the sandwich. Her and her daughter. They sit there. They eat the whole sandwich.
You saw everything, the
I
head
saw the whole
nod, the whole
thing.
everything.
Saw
This,
the whole
I
thing.
bet you anything, he will be the only one to get me out of my child pellet because I am that person.
Just telling you, I've had three restaurants. In three restaurants, the eggplant has been something that people have come in and said, "I hate eggplant, but I don't know why I'm eating this all the time." Three restaurants. I mean, what's scarier is I was never even taught how to make the eggplant. This is something that just came out of me. Okay, so
You saw it, like you
it
said,
just
right?
That
came.
book, like you said, he unlocked the book inside of
Bro,
him.
I say this all the time. We all have the book inside of us.
Mhm.
We all know the fucking answer. We have all the answers to us, not to life and anyone else, but to us. And that's what you've been saying this whole time. But yes,
No, dude,
you unlocked it. You saw it. You went,
yeah, and
like
everybody
you
talks
said.
about it as if, oh my gosh, I've reinvented the wheel, and I'm like, and it's hard because I don't even know where it came from, right? Like you don't want to
It's
disrespect it by being like, oh, flipping about it, like, yeah, that's right.
but
You know,
the genuine humbleness you're even saying right now proves that. That's why it's
no, man,
gold.
like I respect the process every time I make it, to the point it's maniacal because I don't want it to be disrespecting the process that got me what I got,
Right.
just because you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So I make her this thing and she eats. She goes, "This is fantastic." She goes, like, what is different about it?" And I go, "Well, there's a lot of things that are different about it. The way that other people prepare it, the way that they present it." She goes, "Me and my daughter both loved it, and we never, And I go, "Good, then great. Come and order your food and pay for it.
Right.
We're all good." And I'm glad you got to try something that you would. But I also tell those people who, when they have that first time experience, going, "I never had this before. This is amazing." I go, "Okay, hold on. I just want to warn you. Don't just be going out and ordering eggplant now everywhere you go because you're going to expect an experience I'm going to guarantee you you're
You need to
not
come
going to
here.
have."
Yeah.
Right.
And that's going to be the hard part is because you got your great experience and that is not something you're going to find everywhere. And that's the reason why I have a great business, not a
Right.
good hobby,
Business. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
because you
Bro.
can't go and get it somewhere else.
No.
And everybody can make it the way that it can be made. That's why, people in the kitchen go, "Aren't you afraid somebody might take a recipe and go and do it themselves?" I go, "Number one, if you got the money to go out and start doing this again, good luck with that. Because again, I'm heavy 6 figure deep in here, and I don't know many people that have that can literally take it outside and set it on fire.
Right.
Number two, if you think you can do me and how I represent better than I can do me, that's like me trying to show up and be Chuck D.
Right. Come on.
Right?
Just
Oh,
because you
not
know all
kidding.
the
Just
lyrics,
because I know
right?
all the lyrics doesn't mean I can show up and do the show. And people want to pay for it. I'll do some version of that show that you'll find entertaining, but you ain't
Right.
gonna, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you,
You ain't trying to be them. Right.
no.
Exactly. Right. No, that makes sense, bro. It's so moving, like what you're sharing right now. It's impactful, really. Like who you are shines, bro.
Mhm.
You know, you're unlocking a lot. Like you don't even know we have a lot of things that we talk about, and just coming to you and hearing the things we've already spoke on without speaking to you about them, it just comes full circle, man. Like, it's really an honor for reals.
Well, and
It's
that's
like
why, that's honestly why I told you I agreed to do
shining
this
on you, bro.
because,
Got to shine the light on you, bro.
well,
Thank you for giving it back, but we're giving
it's
it to
because
you.
I see it, like, you can pick it out in other people,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like, and that's the artist that I enjoy
You just know.
working with, because I could see it in them. I could see they have the capacity, they have the ability, just some part of it's not working correctly. And even in corporate America, that's what I would do for the customer. I would tell my bosses all the time, it doesn't matter why the customer wants what they want. They have the money and they have the answer. They're telling you what they want and they're going to pay you. So just do what they want to do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, if they're asking for something unreasonable, you can go to them and say, you know as well as I do that's unreasonable.
Right.
But if it's within reason and you know you're going to consider it, just do it. You don't understand what that means to them,
Yeah.
right? And that's really the difference of what I try to do in anything that I do when I represent, is going, if I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to the best of my capacity. And if it's not good enough, I have no problem saying, I'm sorry. I did the best that I could. And that was as good as it gets. And if that wasn't good enough for you, I'm satisfied knowing that for a large majority of people, that would be good enough. Well,
Bro, you're fucking awesome, dude. Sorry,
I just wanted to thank you, man, because honestly, it is nice to be able to relate to people. Because the hard part of being this way in a world of disingenuous people, not that all people are disingenuous, but a lot of people are guarded because them being genuine has made other people take liberties that they shouldn't be able to take with people. Okay, so it's a protective measure. I understand. Okay, the difference is I don't need to protect myself from anybody but me protecting myself from you. That's who
right.
I'm responsible for protecting. From me, protecting you from me. That's just who I am.
Right. And only you could do that.
That's it. I know what my windows of tolerance are. I know
Right.
what I have the
That
capacity.
or batshit
That's
crazy.
it. So I spend my time trying to manage that in a relationship. If that offends you, that hurts you, or I don't say what you want to hear, or I don't, do the way that you want to do it, it's not because anything other than I'm doing it in a way that if I don't respect myself and you interfere with that, I'm going to be so pissed at myself that you're going to bear the responsibility and the burden of my reaction.
Right.
Right.
So I'm protecting you from the stupidity that you're taking liberties with doing that are going to affect me and how I respond to you. So don't start none, won't be none.
Be none.
Exactly.
I
Right.
know what you're about to start. I'm going to take it off the table and say,
Mm-hmm.
these are the tools that you get to play with, not to be a jerk, but this
Right.
is just,
These
well,
are my boundaries because I know my
and
triggers.
Right. I've said them.
people don't like that
Nope.
No.
because we've now escalated to,
I'm gonna fuck you up. What
oh,
did it
dirty
say in your report?
bastard,
Yeah.
your ass
Yo,
up.
ass up.
Right? But that same thing on the flip side, when you bring the glue together of what that puts, Karis one's notorious for saying this, that, love and hate are described and portrayed as, why is hate always mean, and why is anger, why is love always weak and hate is always strong? That's
Right.
that, no, they're equal. We
Hmm.
just choose that perception if on how you use it. You know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
And that's the way I come about it. Going, if you come at me and we strongly unite in a way that's uplifting to both people. Now, look, do I like to tear things down from time to time? Yeah, if it's not serving the purpose that it's meant to serve, I'm
Hmm.
not wasting time with it. Just burn it to the ground and build a better version.
Yeah.
Right. A new version, a better version of yourself,
But
of the
you
thing.
got to do that out of something that you like. No, it's just got to get burned to the ground and build it up from scratch.
Yeah.
Right.
Not out of anger or
Malice,
destruction. Right.
nada.
No, it's just,
No.
it's like, look, that's not going to work. Let's just go about it a totally different way so that we can be true to whatever it is that we're trying to create. Look, I've taken advice from people who've told me how to change things about the way I do food that is not comfortable for me, and it's working, and I can see it, but it is not being true to the true person that I am, but I've learned to accept it. Now, is that growth or is that capitulation? Am I growing or am I not being true to myself? That's what I'm trying to figure out for myself. Only I can set that boundary of,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? So yeah, there is a point where, sometimes my wife will say, "Well, why don't you just do that?" And I'm like, "No, because I'm not, no, I'm not going to do that." And she's like, why? Everybody else does it. And I go, well, then let everybody else do it.
I'm not the everybody else. I'm not the yes man. Everybody else guy. I'm the 1%.
Oh, but they're good. Let them be good at doing that. I'm good at doing this.
Mhm.
Right. This is my essence.
I don't want to be
Yeah.
them. I know they don't want to be me. You know what I mean?
Can't nobody beat me. Right. Man, dude, you hit all these
So
marks today, man.
that's what I got. I hope I gave you something to work with in all of
No,
it.
Hey guys, what's up? No Reservations here. I'm Marie and this is
done one.
and we are No Reservations. Come on in, join our community, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we got it. Even X, aka Twitter, because that's what I still call it. Join us every, what is it again?
Thursdays at 7 p.m. every week on a schedule. Let's go. No reservations. We're off. We got to get back to the show.
There was a lot to work with, and thank you so much. We really, truly appreciate having you on. It was great talking with you. I didn't really know you all that well. And from today, I feel like I've known you as long as you've known him. So it's really great. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. And everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in on this fine episode. Go follow his page. We'll link it in the description and everything. Try out his food. Amazing. We're so excited. Thank you guys again so much for another great episode. We'll see you again every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thanks, guys.